Good morning, my loves. My name is Jasmine. I am your inner work coach, which means I am here to help you learn to love your life and your relationships. And today we are talking about relationships. Every time you get into an argument with your partner, it is not the end of the relationship. It feels like the end of the relationship, and it can also feel like the end of the world, but it is not. So our goal here today is to figure out why it feels like it's the end of the relationship, or why it feels like you want to end the relationship every single time you get into some sort of conflict or argument with your partner. So today we are going to be doing that by talking about attachment styles. If you guys have been looking at any videos on this channel, you know that I've been talking about attachment styles, and especially an anxious attachment style, a lot on this channel. And that is because it has impacted my life so much, my relationship so much, to understand this so that I know how to operate and move forward in my relationship. What the heck actually is an attachment style? I'm gonna break this down to like the basis level that has helped me, like the way that I think about it has helped me understand myself and my partner. And so I'm gonna talk to you guys about the way that I think about it today. That way, hopefully the basis level will help you get it. And then if you wanna do a deeper dive, I can recommend some books or the book that this theory has come from. Attachment styles are exactly what it sounds like. It is the way, it's the style, it is the method, it is the mentality that you have when you are connecting or attaching to your partner and attaching to other people, really, but we're going to focus on the partner attachment today. So there are 4 different attachment styles. We're going to focus on 3 because one of them is a little more rare, and if you have this attachment style, you got some more research to do to figure out how to manage and cope with your attachment style. But this is really going to help you understand conflict with your partner and understand why you guys do the things that you do when you get into an argument. So the 3 attachment styles that we're focusing on today are anxious, avoidant, and secure. Basically, when you have an anxious attachment style, it comes from when you were a kid, a baby, but different things in life can affect your attachment style. An anxious attachment style is when you have conflict with your partner, how you feel and deal with it. So when you have conflict with your partner, if you are a person that's like, we need to fix this immediately, because if we don't fix this, then it feels like the relationship is ending. If you feel like you're afraid of being left in the relationship, aka abandoned. If you always want to be attached at their hip 24/7, then you may have an anxious attachment style. If when you get into an argument, you feel like leaving, if you resolve things mostly with space, or if you can emotionally disconnect yourself when you get into an argument or disagreement, then chances are you have an avoidant attachment style. I'm going to use this example that they used in the book in order to get us to understand what the secure attachment style is. So basically, attachment styles are formed around the connection that you have with your parent or like your trusted adult. They had a baby that was in the room with their mom. They're playing in the room with their mom. And the baby leaves. The mom leaves the room. How that baby reacted when the mother left is an example, or is how they came together with the study of attachment styles. So if when the mom left, the baby was crying and crying and crying and crying and could just never really pull it together without the mom there, then that represents the anxious attachment style. When the baby's playing in the room, the mom leaves, the baby has no reaction at all. Like they're just like, going ahead, keep on playing. That is an avoidant attachment style. There's no emotional connection, no distress, no nothing. The baby's just playing along like nothing ever happened. A secure attachment style is when the baby's in the room, the mom leaves, the baby cries for a little bit, but then the baby like calms down, continues playing, and when the mom comes back in the room, they're happy and they're like, wow, I'm so glad to have like my mom back in the room. So a secure attachment style is when you are able to have conflict with your partner and you know that it is not going to destroy your relationship. You don't feel like destroying your relationship, and you also don't feel like your partner is going to blow up the relationship. The very important thing to realize here is that your attachment style can change. and it can grow and develop. Anxious and avoidant are on opposite spectrums, but they can meet together to be able to come secure. It just takes some work to be able to do that. And a lot of the work is going to be self-work. It's going to be inner work that's going to get you to be able to heal and actually operate in your relationship and not feel like every single time there's a conflict, things have to blow up. Now, you may have this information and be like, okay, just because I know my attachment style or whatever, like literally, so I'm not really getting the point. It is really important to understand you and your partner. People with an anxious attachment style tend to lean towards people with an avoidant attachment style, and vice versa. They get in a relationship with each other and they constantly have this push and pull of their relationship. They feed off of each other in the relationship because the cycle that you get into when you're in a toxic relationship is addictive. You continuously, like the arguments and then getting back together, it's creating little pathways in your brain that are like, oh wow, like yeah, we may argue, but we get back together, and that creates a connection. So you're building a deeper and deeper toxic connection with your partner when you are avoiding the knowledge of attachment styles and learning how to heal your specific attachment style. Personally, as you guys know, I've talked about before my codependency issues. So I, of course, was leaning towards an anxious attachment style. And I didn't realize that because of my anxious attachment style, I was making my partner feel suffocated, like he wanted to run. It takes away the peace in the relationship. It made him feel like I was his mom. And there was not a way for me to be in my feminine energy and attracting things, being sexy and being chill and relaxed and laid back and peaceful in my relationship when I'm in an anxious attachment style. And then for the people in the avoidant attachment style, you are making your partner feel unwanted, unloved, and insecure in their relationship. We're trying to get to a place of safety, of peace. You want to be locked in so that you can really, really build together. And sometimes so I just genuinely believe that there should be times in your relationship where you can sit down with your partner and be like, okay, let's have a very, very honest conversation. And I promise you, nothing that is said in this honest conversation, because we know that it's coming from a place of love, that's very important. But nothing that can be said in this honest conversation are going to come up later unless we're working to fix it. That way you can really understand how that person is feeling. Because when I was coming up with, or I was writing out like the concept and everything for this video, I was sitting down with my partner yesterday and I'm like, okay, so when I had my anxious attachment style, how are you feeling? And these were his words. And he believes in like feminine and masculine energy and everything like that. But he didn't say like mothering energy, he did not say. But he said, you know, when you were in that anxious attachment style, it made me feel like you were my mom. He's like, moms do that. Moms, you know, hover over you and make sure you're okay and check in on you. Like, it made me feel like you're my mom. We had that conversation years ago, so last night I could ask him casually and it wasn't anything shocking. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, you felt like there wasn't peace and like I was suffocating you. But because we had that conversation so many years ago and he told me, and when he told me, y'all, it hurt. I'm like, you feel like I'm suffocating you? And again, you have to be able to have these conversations in a calm way and just receive what the person is saying, especially if you ask. And don't set up that conversation just so you can get some things off your chest about your partner. Don't sit your partner down and be like, hey, I think that we should have an open and honest conversation. Ask them what they think about you and then go and be like, well, this is what I need to say about you, this, and this. You're trying to create a sense of trust and peace in the relationship. The point in the relationship with conflict is be able to fight fair and to fight safely, or to have arguments or conflicts safely and disagreements safely. And when I say safely, I'm not talking just about physically safely, because that huge main priority, but physically, emotionally, spiritually, we should feel safe in our relationships when we're having conflict. But if we're unhealed in our attachment styles, there's not a way for you to make your partner feel safe if you're operating out of a place of brokenness. So that is what my partner said about me and how I made him feel. But how I genuinely felt in the relationship was unsafe, unloved, and not protected. And how is he going to be in his masculine energy and me being in my feminine energy by feeling protected, and him being in his masculine by protecting, if by the way that he's acting and him pulling away or shutting down is making me feel unloved and unprotected in the relationship? So he would say like, oh, I feel like I'm failing in the relationship. I'm like, you're not failing. But to a man that is trying to act like a man, like act like a good man, you not feeling safe, protected, loved, that is him failing in his relationship. And so we both had to work on figuring out how to come to the middle in order to heal that. So relationships should be a place of being loved and of being secure. And I am not by any means saying that there is no arguments or no issues in a relationship, and that when you have a secure attachment style, it's fine. But I was telling my sister, like I think it was like a month ago or something like that. Like, okay, because I understand the my dishwasher, y'all. Because I understand the attachment styles, I understood that my husband, generally, when he goes back into his default mode, he's going back into an avoidant attachment style, and I'm going back into an anxious attachment style, right? So when I got into a conflict with my husband, I think like a month ago, and he started to kind of default to that avoidant attachment style where he shut down a little bit, he needed some space. Because I understand my attachment style and that my natural inclination is to not allow that space and to be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Let's fix it. What do I need to do? And this needs to get fixed now. It needs to get fixed tonight. Now, because I've worked on my attachment style, in my brain and in my spirit, I'm like, this is not going to last forever. Him being upset or in his feelings or whatever, like that is not going to last forever. But we both built that in the relationship where he would affirm, this is not going to last forever, I'm just upset. And I had to accept and understand and be able to give him space. Giving people space is like the hardest thing for me to do, because I have a natural inclination towards having an anxious attachment style. But you have to understand, for the people, because I used to just be so frustrated in my relationship, for the people that have an anxious attachment style, we have to understand that the people in the avoidant attachment style have just as much as a feeling of needing space as we do of needing to fix the issue immediately. And giving them that space will help fix the issue immediately. So for my anxious attachment girlies, let the bird fly, see if the bird comes back. Because if you're both working on the relationship and you give him the space, he should be able to eventually come back to get it resolved. Now, I'm not saying to let this issue go on for weeks and weeks without resolution or not bring it up or anything like that. But sometimes people need time to get things resolved. For my avoidant attachment people, y'all, your anxiously attached partner wants to be affirmed and feel like you love them. And when you pull away, they don't feel loved. So if you're going to pull away, give them the warning. And that takes work. Like, if y'all ask my husband, it takes like, he is like fighting to be like, listen, I just need some space. I'm not mad at you. I still love you. I just need some space while I think. I just need to go, relax, do my own thing, and then I'll come back and we'll figure it out. That takes a lot of work. Just like it takes our anxious attachment people a lot of work to be like, okay, I'll give you the space that you need. And that is what they mean when they say relationships are hard. That used to irritate me so much, because when you talk to people that have been married for, I was gonna say 20, 30 years, but it's not even that anymore. It's like 5 years, 10 years, 2 years. They're like, oh, relationships are hard, relationships are hard. Like when we were going through when we were engaged and going through like marriage counseling and just getting advice from people, that is a main thing that people would say. And I'm like, if this is so hard, like honestly, why do we want to do relationships if relationships are so hard? What the heck does that even mean? Because when you say it in a certain way, it sounds like you don't even like your partner, and it makes it sound like it's not worth it. But what they mean when they say relationships are hard is, it is so difficult to be operating in a broken system and to come to healed. Anytime that you are moving forward to being healed, the devil is going to be upset. There are spiritual forces at work all the time. And if you are working on getting healed, you're working on being a better person, you're working on, and especially, I've said this before, but especially if you feel like God wants you to be in a relationship with this person and you guys are going to do amazing things, you're going to build things, you're going to boss up, level up together, you're going to have kids that are just going to do awesome things in the world, the devil's not going to be happy about that. And so he's going to start doing things to stop you. And so you will feel a spiritual, and that's what it is when you're like, I want to do this, but I just don't know how I can do this. That is the spiritual force that's trying to block you from moving forward in your relationship and progressing. And that is hard. To push through that is hard. You're pushing towards each other, and that is all that matters. I would highly recommend doing this with God. It's not going to be easy to do by yourself. You're going to need to pray about it. You're going to need to pray about it. That is why relationships are difficult. That's why relationships are hard. It's because you two people are working on becoming a person and becoming a team. And that's going to require you to heal from things that you don't even think are necessarily an issue. Yes, we're going to stop here for today. Learn your attachment style. Think about the ones that you are more associated with. That way you can recognize your patterns and give your partner a heads up for how you're acting. And so you can also recognize how they are. It's how you act can help the person move towards security. Don't try to go and change your partner and say you're an avoidant attachment style and you need to fix that. You being in your anxious attachment style and moving more towards secure is going to make your partner feel comfortable enough to move more towards secure. Women lead relationships by how they act, by the standards that they set and how they move and operate. It's not by what you say. So you don't have to have a conversation and tell him to do something. Just you acting a certain way is going to be able to bring him to a more healthy and healed version of himself. So that's all I have for today, guys. I love y'all so much. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them below and let me know what attachment style you think you are. And I will see you in the next video.